Sukhi Hotu to all. Sukho Buddhanang Upado. Happy is the birth of all Buddhas. Lotus bloom is about the birth of the Buddha. The Buddha was born in this world to bring peace and love to all. His birth as Prince Siddhartha Gautama was the culmination of all the great virtues that he had perfected from life to life. These are known as the 10 perfections. Dana, Silanja, Nekamma, Panya, Virya, Kanti, Satcha, Adittana, Metta, Upekka, Dasaparami. Now this is how we learn, and we should learn, we memorize these Pali terms and the meaning of it. Dana is generosity. Buddha practiced from life to life generosity. He was able to give not only material things, but even his bodily possessions, sometimes the limbs of the body, organs of the body. And in one of the Jataka stories, when he became king, King Sivi, and his blind servant, he actually gave his eye to the blind servant. And so tissue transplant is not a new thing. Yeah. This was way back, long time ago, in the Jataka stories. And not only that, the Buddha also was able to, at the expense of his life, to help sentient beings, to save the lives of others. So this is how the virtues should be practiced to its perfection. The first virtue is dana, or generosity. Then sila, morality or good conduct. Nekkhamma, renunciation. From life to life, the Buddha renounced. And because when he was born, when he was prince, and in fact, one day in one of the stories, he said to his barber, he said, "Please let me know when you see my hair, one gray hair or white hair comes up." And he knows that as soon as he sees the hair graying, he knows it is time to renounce. Yeah. So if you look in a mirror and look at your hair, you know whether it's time to renounce. This is the determination that the Buddha made, yeah, from life to life. Renunciation. Then comes panya, wisdom. Buddha developed his wisdom from life to life. Wisdom. Panya, virya, effort. Kanti, patience. Tolerance, endurance. Satcha, truthfulness. Adittana, resolution, determination. Metta, loving kindness. Upekka, equanimity. These are the 10 perfections. In the Pali tradition, in the Sanskrit, there are the 6 perfections, but when you expand them, it will also cover this 10. Now, owing to these great perfections, he was born amidst comforts and luxury and had everything that the material world could offer. Yet, he had the wisdom to recognize the fleeting nature of all worldly pleasures. His name, Siddhartha, means wish fulfilled. That means all his aspiration, the great aspiration that he has, and will be fulfilled in that life. Now it was the sight. There are three important sights. The sight of an old man, a sick man, and a dead person or a corpse. These three sights triggered his mind to contemplate on the sufferings accompanying old age, sickness, and death. Out of compassion for the world, he decided to seek the truth, the knowledge, how to put an end to old age, sickness, and death. At the age of 29, in the prime of his life, he left. He left the luxury, the life of luxuries and comfort. He left all this behind and he went to the forest in search of truth. He spent 6 years practicing under different teachers before making the final effort to realize the truth for himself. On the full moon day of the month of Vaishaka in the Indian lunar calendar, the month was called Vaishaka, and that's how we have the Anglicized version, Vesak. It's actually the name of the lunar month. That full moon, and it was on that night that the truth dawned upon him. Three important knowledges arose in him. First, he saw his own past lives, one after the other, life to life, life to life, in details. Pubbhe nivasa nosati jnana. This is called Pubbhe nivasa nosati jnana, the ability to recall his previous existences. And then the next watch of the night, that night is divided into three phases. The first phase is from about 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and then from 10 to 2, and then from 2 to 6. These are the three watches of the night. So the first watch of the night, Buddha realized his past lives. The second watch of the night, he saw how beings die and how they are reborn, where they are reborn, according to their karma. That's called Chutupapata Jnana. Now, seeing his own past lives and the lives of other beings, he realized and he saw very clearly how suffering arises and how suffering ceases. This teaching is presented to us as what is known as Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination or dependent co-arising. Now it is through this knowledge that he was able to cut off the root causes of all the defilements. That's what Asavakkaya Jnana. Not only the defilements of greed, hatred, delusion, but what oozes out, what comes out from that greed, hatred, delusion. He was able to put an end to them all. And that was how he was fully transformed. Although born as a human, upon his enlightenment, he was no longer an ordinary being. This is what he said to a Brahmin who inquired about him, and the Buddha said, like a lovely white lotus, unsoiled by the muddy waters, so too am I, unsoiled by the world. Therefore, O Brahmin, I am a Buddha. This is how the Buddha declared himself as a Buddha, as a fully awakened one. So although born in this world, like a pure white lotus blooming out of the mud, he realized the highest human potential. And through his example and teachings, he showed us how we too are able to live in this world unaffected by the turmoils, the sufferings around us, not through mere indifference, but through loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. This is what we call metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. Metta is the loving kindness, karuna, compassion. Mudita is an altruistic joy or sympathetic or appreciative joy, and upekkha, equanimity. Now, through the great wisdom and compassion of the Buddha founded the holy order of the Sangha in order to spread his message to all. It is through the holy order of the Sangha that the dispensation of the Buddha, that the teachings of the Buddha has continued for more than 2,500 years. He first preached to only 5 disciples, the ascetics who attended to him before his enlightenment. And then came the young man by the name of Yasa and his 54 friends, and they all made up to a total of 60 disciples. After personally training and guiding them all until they attained arahathood, that means they were totally free from greed, hatred, and delusion. And he advised them to work for the welfare and happiness of the many out of compassion for the world. And this is how the Buddha admonished them. Buddha said, Charata bhikkhve charikang bhujana hitaya bhujana sukhaya lokanukampaya attaya hitaya sukhaya deva manusanang. Addressing the monks, Buddha says, wander forth, O monks, for the welfare and happiness of the many, out of compassion for the world, for the benefit, the welfare, and the happiness of gods and men. This is the original mission of the Buddha. Then he further taught them how to work for the welfare and happiness of the many through the cultivation of the Brahma Viharas, or the 4 sublime states of mind, which are also known as the 4 immeasurables. And they are, as we mentioned earlier, metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic, altruistic joy, and upekkha, equanimity. Then he also taught the 4 principles of service to others. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, they are what we develop mentally. And then from this mental development, then we express it outwardly, our outward expression in terms of dana, generosity, pure vacha, pleasant or courteous speech, atacharya, that is helpful actions, and samanattata, unbiased actions. Now when we start the cultivation of metta, which most if not all of you are familiar with, yeah? The word metta actually is derived from the word mitta, means friend. But it is more than just the ordinary kind of friend. It is the kind of friendship that grows with the thought, the wish for the well-being of all. So that is why when we practice loving kindness, we wish all beings to be well and happy. And when we cultivate this again and again, then what happens? When we see or when we hear of people who are suffering, naturally the thought of compassion would arise. And that's how it conditions the compassionate acts of compassion, all various actions, yeah, to help others. And what happens when you help others? When you console them in times of danger, in times of problems, if they take your advice, they accept your help, and then after that they are able to overcome their problems, you will see them, you will be happy, you will naturally feel that joy and happiness. That is mudita. That is what you call the kind of joy that you have, yeah, through your acts of compassion. But many a times you find that there will be people who do not appreciate the good things that you do for them. They may suspect and they may criticize you. All those in the field of service, those in the field of public service or those servicing others will experience this. That is why it is so important to cultivate one more aspect, that is upekkha, equanimity. It is only after we have been doing service, rendering service to others again and again, then we will learn by our experience the different kinds of individual, the different character and disposition of people. Yeah. Some people, they can talk very well, but they cannot do the work. They will promise you, they will say yes, yes, they can do, but they don't turn up for it. Some people, when they talk, sometimes in a meeting, it is as if they want to fight with you. They want to pick up quarrel with you. But that is how they speak. That's how they have it. But they can be very efficient in their work. They can carry out work very well. Yeah. Like this, we will find different kinds of people with different character, different disposition. So after you have developed your servicing others, you will learn these skills and you will understand this is how these people behave in this manner. Then you don't get upset so much. And eventually, you will be able to stand aloof and you develop the kind of harmonious equanimity. Yeah. And that's how you'll be able to work with others. Yeah. You will be able to harness the potentials, the skills of so many other people. Yeah. So these four qualities, metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, when they are developed, yeah, and as you develop them, then you should also express outwardly in terms of what? These are called the four principles of service. Sangaha Vattu. Yeah? The first one is dana, generosity. Yeah. Then pure vacha, pleasant speech, courteous speech. Yeah. Attacharya, helpful actions. And samanattata. Samanattata is unbiased actions. Very often, when people help others, they tend to have that idea that only certain group of people. Some people find difficult to think outside the box, outside the family members, difficult to think. Sometimes they can only think of their family members or a few other relatives. They can't think beyond that. And that is what the COVID-19 has come to teach us this lesson, that we have to think beyond. Not only with our family members, that all around us, not only in our own country, but all the neighboring countries in the whole world. We start to think like that. Yeah. So this kind of service that you render, unbiased action, you don't pick and choose whether he is a Buddhist or he's not a Buddhist. He is the race due to caste, color, creed, language, all the differences. When you have the when you cultivate these values in you, then you will help whoever that needs help. Yeah. Now, these are the qualities that are most relevant in these challenging times. We need to cultivate these qualities in order to be of service to others with purity and wisdom, without any ulterior motives, without being tainted by the vicissitudes of life or the ups and downs of life. The 8 worldly conditions. What are the 8 worldly conditions? There's profit, loss, praise and blame, fame and ill fame, happiness and sorrow. All of us are subjected to these worldly conditions. Now, when we practice in this manner, this is how we'll be able to develop a sense of harmonious equanimity and not affected by all the worldly problems, including criticism, blame, accusations. They are very commonly faced in the field of service. If we wish to serve others, we must be prepared to face such challenges. The biggest stumbling block in the field of service is the ego, the idea of I, my, me, and mine. Conflicts arises because of what? Because somebody thinks that his or her idea is the best or is right. The others are wrong. The others are no good. Yeah. So this is the idea of I and my. Yeah. That is why the internal cultivation of metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha is so important. From the very first one, metta, loving kindness, you learn to meditate and wish that all beings be well and happy. So you lose that idea of I. You wish all beings to be well and happy. Karuna also is directed towards others suffering beings, people who are less fortunate than you are. Mudita, rejoicing at the goodness of others, at the success of others. Yeah. And mudita and upekkha. Yeah. Now this is how the Buddha trained his disciples how to work for the welfare and happiness of the many, out of compassion for the world. Yeah. And then, as mentioned, how the Buddha established the Sangha, the order of Sangha. Now, after successful ministry for 45 years, from the time he became enlightened under the Bodhi tree at the age of 35, until his Mahaparinibbana, where he passed away at the age of 80. So for 45 years, he went along the highways and byways of India, as well as other places, through his psychic abilities. Yeah. The Buddha, when we say Mahaparinibbana, why we use this term? Because the Buddha did not die like ordinary human beings. Ordinary human beings die, they struggle, they have fear, their minds sometimes confused. Yeah. The Buddha, how the Buddha passed away? In the reclining lion posture, aligned in the direction north-south. Then he meditated. He was able to pitch his mind from the first jhana to the second, third, up to the eighth jhana. And from the eighth jhana, he was able to bring down to the first jhana. And then he went on to the second, third, and fourth jhana before attaining Mahaparinibbana. We call that a great disease, with clear awareness. This is not something that ordinary people can do. Yeah. That is why when we commemorate Vesak, Vesak commemorates the birth, the enlightenment, and the great passing away of Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha. Yeah. Now as the Buddha, in fact, before the Buddha attained Mahaparinibbana, when the Buddha was already developing his mind, Ananda did not know. Ananda thought Buddha is passing away. So Ananda, the most faithful disciple of the Buddha, he began to cry, began to weep in grief. Yeah. And when the Buddha came out of his, Buddha addressed him and said, Tasmahiha Ananda Attadipa Viharta Atasarana Ananya Sarana Dhammadipa Dhamma Sarana Ananya Sarana. It says, the word Deepa, you can translate it into either lamp, a lamp that illuminates, oil lamp, or it can be an island. So some people say, be lambs unto yourself, or be islands unto yourself. But we prefer to use the word lamb. So be a lamp unto yourself. Be a refuge unto yourself. Let the Dhamma be your lamp, be your refuge. There is no other refuge. Now, how to be a lamp, how to be a refuge unto yourself? The Buddha explained. Buddha said, when after having overcome desire and discontent with regards to the world, one dwells contemplating body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in the mind, and the Dhamma in the Dharma, ardent with clear awareness and mindful. Yeah. Many of you may not be familiar with this verse, but you will become familiar later. Then the Buddha says, then truly one is a lamb. That is how one becomes a lamb or island to oneself, a refuge unto oneself, having no other refuge. The Dhamma is one's lamb and one's own refuge, having no other refuge. Therefore, it is important to understand that the saying, be a lamb and refuge unto yourself, it clearly refers to the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness, or satipatthana. Mindfulness on the body, mindfulness on feelings, mindfulness on the mind, and mindfulness on Dhamma. This is what we will be offering to you all at the Aloka online Dhamma course for 3 months every Saturday from July till October this year. Yeah. Now, the Buddha was a lamp unto the world. Yeah. Bringing what? The joy, the light of wisdom. Lamp that illuminates. That's why we always begin with what you call a Dhamma festival, Buddhist festival, with the offering of lights. Yeah. The light that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It is the light of wisdom that dispels the darkness of ignorance. When we put into practice what the Buddha taught, we too can kindle the light of wisdom in our hearts. Today, more than ever before, with all the problems in the world, from the COVID-19 pandemic to environmental degradation, economic disparity, wars, conflict, and so on, we need to illuminate our hearts with wisdom and compassion. All the problems, whether at a community or a global level, they are all connected with our own individual actions and our mental states and our relationship with those around us. Since we are not able to change the big things happening around in the world outside, we should direct our efforts to change the smaller things happening within ourselves. That is how we'll be able to maintain peace and harmony within ourselves amidst war, chaos, turmoils in the world. Yeah. The saying that the world is your own creation. We create this world. The word loka, world, when Buddha talks about world, there are two worlds. The world outside and the world within us. Yeah. And the world outside is what you see, all the universes around us, yeah? All the things outside, and the world within us, within this fathom-long body, yeah? Which one? The Buddha emphasized, the emphasis is within this fathom-long body. If we have no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, where is the world? There is no world in that. Yeah. So that is how the Buddhist training, all the teachings of the Buddha, is actually to focus on how to develop our mind. And going beyond, first we train our sense faculties. We see this is how we gain knowledge. Through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, we get knowledge from outside world. Yeah. But all these knowledges, they are still at the very surface. They do not lead to enlightenment. People spend years studying in colleges, in universities, gaining, their first degree, MA, BA, MA, PhD, yeah. But still, you find all sorts. There's the tendency of greed, hatred, delusion. The ego is so strong. There's so much of suffering they have to go through within themselves and others around them. Yeah. Now that is the knowledge, the information you get outside. Wisdom is something different. Wisdom is that ability to apply what you know to overcome suffering. And you know the cause, that you will know the root cause of suffering. Greed, hatred, delusion. Yeah. So, now this is what the practice of metta and mindfulness. Metta and mindfulness will enable us to overcome the root causes of our sufferings. Greed, hatred, delusion. And that's how we will transcend all the worldly phenomena. And this is how the lotus in our hearts will bloom, unsoiled by the vicissitudes of life. Yeah. Now with metta, loving kindness, metta is the antidote for anger, hatred, and grudges. Why it is so important to cultivate metta this time? Because when a person is angry, have hatred and grudges in the heart, what happens? All the goodness, all the merits that he or she has been cultivating in this life and past life, all these things get clouded, overshadowed. Yeah. But when with metta, loving kindness, metta has the power to bring up the goodness so that your merits can bloom, your merits can ripen. Yeah. So then mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness is aimed at first to reduce and overcome the tendencies of grasping, craving, attachment. And it is also through mindfulness that we develop the wisdom, the insight to break this false idea of the self, which gives rise to ego. And that is how metta and mindfulness have helped us to transform ourselves. And as we transform ourselves, we will also transform others. That's how we will plant the seed of enlightenment in the hearts of many. The Buddha is an embodiment of great wisdom and compassion. He realized the vastness of his own mind, just like the vast expanse of open sky. In this emptiness arises the natural compassion, manifesting in various ways to help to bring peace and love to the world. Now, as we walk in the footsteps of the Buddha, we too will experience the vastness of our own mind. We too can bloom like the lovely white lotus. We too can bring light to the world, dispelling the darkness of ignorance. On this occasion of Vesak, which, as mentioned, commemorates the birth, the enlightenment, and the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha, we should aspire to make good use of this precious opportunity that we have to cultivate the Dhamma, developing metta, mindfulness, and other great virtues at both individual and collective level in order to transmute the negative energies around us and transform ourselves from an ordinary worldly human being to a good human being, and from a good human being into noble ones. Yeah. This is what the parting words of the Buddha. Before the Buddha left this world, he said, Vaya Dhamma Sankara Appamadena Sampadeta. Buddha said, transient are all component things. Work out your deliverance with heedfulness, with mindfulness. These are the parting words of the Buddha. Yeah. So with this, we will conclude with a short meditation and a dedication. If you like to join us, wherever you are, and just bring your minds within. Bring your attention within and observe the calm, the quietness within. Remain in this state of calm and quietness for a few moments with clear sense of awareness. Whatever phenomena that arises, the sounds that you hear, feeling, sensation that arises, your mind is not disturbed, not distracted. In this state of calm and quietness, you will commence with the practice of metta, loving kindness, wishing yourselves to be well and happy. Wish yourselves well and happy. And as you wish yourselves well and happy, feel a sense of well-being. And keep a smile in your hearts. And tell yourself to be free from anger, free from enmity, from hatred and grudges, free from sufferings, from fear, from worries, from anxieties, and just dwell in calm and peace. Just as you wish to be well and happy, calm and peaceful, you will spread out loving kindness all around you, above, below, and all around. Feel the whole space around you, in your room, in your house or apartment, to all the neighborhoods, reaching out to the whole country, and beyond this country to all the neighboring countries, all the neighboring islands. Covering the whole world and all the realms of existence, known or unknown to us, seen or unseen. That may all beings be well and happy. May they be free from harm, free from dangers. May they dwell in peace and harmony. With this wholesome state of mind, you will share the merits with all the Dharma protectors, all the guardian deities, those who have been guiding and protecting you, including those in the vicinity wherever you live, and the traditional owners of the land. May they rejoice in this merit. And in so rejoicing, may they give blessings and protection to all. Let us also dedicate merits for the spiritual well-being and happiness of all our departed relatives, teachers, and friends, wherever they are born. May they have opportunity to receive Dhamma, to be guided, to grow in the Dhamma's path, and to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death one day. With all your good thoughts and the merits that you have acquired, please make your wish, make your aspiration on this auspicious day of Vesak. Just as we recall the birth, the enlightenment, the passing away of the Buddha, Mahaparinibbana Buddha, make the wish, the aspiration, that we too will walk the Buddha's path, reducing, overcoming the tendencies of greed and all forms of craving and grasping and attachments, the tendencies of anger, hatred, grudges, and the tendencies of delusion, cultivating the qualities of generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, so that we will have the purity of mind that will give us the strength to confront and overcome whatever difficulties, whatever obstacles that may arise in our lives. That we will grow in wisdom and compassion, be able to make good use of our lives, not only for ourselves, but also for the welfare, for the happiness of the many. And may all the merits pave the way for your success, that you be able to progress in your work, in your studies, in your work, so that you'll be able to fulfill your worldly duties and responsibilities And at the earliest opportunity, may the seed of enlightenment be sown in your hearts so that you'll be able to walk the noble path, be free from all sufferings, and have the wisdom, the compassion to help others, whoever that comes by your way. Please make your wish, your aspiration, that whatever immediate difficulties or obstacles that have arisen, that you will have the strength, you will have the courage and wisdom to overcome all these obstacles, bringing them into the path of your practice. And let us also pray that may all suffering beings be free from suffering. Those in sorrow be free from sorrow. Those in fear and dangers, may they be free from fear and dangers. That may all beings be well and happy. Whoever that comes to your mind in the quietness of mind, have good wish for them all. On this occasion of Vesak, as we connect with all our brothers and sisters in various parts of the world, have the good wish for all. And we will invoke the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha for all. Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Buddha Bhavena Sada Sutti Bhavantate Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Dhamma Bhavena Sada Sutti Bhavantate Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sangha Bhavena Sada Sutti Bhavantate Akasata Jabumata Deva Naga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Jirang Rakantu Loka Sasanam Akasataja Bhummata Deva Naga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Jirang Rakantu Desanam Akasataja Bhummata Deva Naga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Jirang Rakantu Mang Paranti Idang me Nyatinang Hotu Sukita Hontu Nyatayo Idang me Nyatinang Hotu Sukita Hontu Nyatayo Idang me Nyatinang Hotu Sukita Hontu Nyatayo Abhivadana Siddhisa Nichang Vadda Pachayino Chataro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayu Vanno Sukhang Balang Ayurarogya Sampati Sugha Sampati Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samitatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.